Okay, it is now 7 o'clock, so let's get this on the road. I'd like to call that this Committee of Adjustment meeting held on February 23rd, 2022, come to order at 7 p.m. May I have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Lauren Cooney, seconded by Henry Vanderweel, and all in favor? Motion carried. Do we have any disclosures of pecuniary interest this evening? I see none. I have to wait for Mr. Webster to return back to the screen here.
For my little sign. Can't find them. I can't find my little sign, so you'll just have to listen to me.
Okay, you said no, right? Thank you.
Yes, I'm good.
Okay. Welcome to this Committee of Adjustment meeting to allow the public an opportunity to express their views regarding proposed minor variances and consents within the Township of Springwater. Each applicant and their agent, if applicable, will be given the opportunity to present the applications to the committee in public. Additional information on each of the applications, including editing presentation material, is available in the committee agenda on the Township website. Following, those members of the public whom registered to make oral submissions prior to 4:30 p.m. yesterday, February 22nd, 2022, will be given the opportunity to do so. All oral submissions will be included in this meeting's minutes and form part of the public record, including the name and address of the speaker, as information collected under the Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. The minutes of this meeting will be posted on the Township website. All comments or questions should be addressed through the chair. I will now ask the Secretary Treasurer to please introduce the first application, item number 4.1 on the agenda.
Sorry, Chair, I don't think we had a motion for the previous minutes from their January meeting.
You're correct. I jumped over that one. The Committee of Adjustment minutes dated January 22nd, I'm sorry, January 26th, 2022. Any concerns or questions about that before we have a motion? I see none. May I have a mover and a seconder then that we adopt the Committee of Adjustment minutes dated January 26th, 2022 as presented? Moved by Patty Kennedy, seconded by Henry Vanderweel, and all in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you. I'll go now to the Secretary Treasurer and ask her to please introduce the first application, item number 4.1 on the agenda.
Thank you. Item 4.1 on the agenda is minor variance application A1122 submitted by D. Sador and J. Des Sador, owners of lands known municipally as 1109 Carson Road. The purpose and effect of the application is to permit the construction of an additional residential unit measuring approximately 100.3 square meters west of the existing dwelling with a further reduced exterior rear yard setback of 11.4 meters, whereas minor variance A2121 requires a minimum rear yard setback of 12.5 meters.
Thank you. Has there been any additional correspondence and or comments that have been received?
No public or agency comments were received for application A1122.
Thank you. May I please have the applicant introduce themselves and advise us what it is that you're looking for? Moderator, do we have the applicant on the line? Oh,
yes, yep, I'm here. I just had to prompted me to restart the video. Hi there, thank you, Chair and Secretary Treasurer Behringer. I'm Diana. I am planner for Ouellette and Associates, and speaking on behalf of the Dylan and Jesse Sador. So just in addition to this application being recommended for approval, I would just like to point out that we had to move the addition further back towards the rear property line as the hydro easement corridor was larger than first anticipated back in 2021. So we had to move it back. So we're now asking for the 11.4. And that's pretty much it. So just asking for a little bit or a further reduction in the rear yard setback than what was approved last year.
Thank you. Are there any members of the public registered to make any oral submissions?
There are no members of the public who have registered to make an oral submission.
Thank you. Committee members, do you have any questions of the applicant? I see none. I have a motion then for A11/22. Motion reads that the Committee of Adjustment, having given consideration to the applicable provisions of Section 45 of the Planning Act, the official plan of the Township of Springwater, characteristics of the land in question and its surroundings as addressed in the planning report on the application dated February 23rd, 2022, the correspondence received and information presented at the hearing held on February 23rd, 2022, and the discussion on the matter hereby approve application A11/22 as applied for. May I have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Patty Kennedy, seconded by Henry Vanderweel. All in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Have a good evening.
And when the Secretary Treasurer is ready, she can introduce item 4.2 on the agenda.
Thank you, Chair. Item number 4.2 on the agenda is minor variance application A1222 submitted by T, and I apologize if I pronounce your last name wrong, Schnorr, owner of lands known municipally as 5948 County Road 90. The purpose and effect of the application is to permit the construction of a 204.7 square meter detached accessory structure garage, which will exceed the maximum size of an accessory building structures permitted on the property. The applicant is proposing a maximum total area of accessory buildings and structures of 204.76 square meters, whereas subsection 33.3.14.1H permits a maximum of 115 square meters and a height of 6.33 meters, whereas section 3.7.5B permits a maximum height of 4.5 meters.
Thank you. Has there been any additional correspondence or comments that have been received?
No additional correspondence or comments were received for application A1222.
Thank you. I'll now ask the applicant to introduce themselves and explain what it is that you're looking for.
Hi guys, it's my name is Todd Jackson. I'm the owner of Jackson Developments, and I'm looking after this file for Terry Schnurr. We're currently building his residential house there, and he is looking. When we submitted the permit, we tried to get it all on one. We need the minor variance for the residential storage garage portion of it. And there was an EP line. We moved it a little bit forward of that so that construction wouldn't interfere with that EP line. I noticed that there was a little bit of a size error on the paperwork that Ms. Berenger just posted. It's actually smaller than what's on the sheet, and size is still the same for height. So other than that, we were just going through this process to try and get it through, and it's just size and the height restriction.
Thank you. Are there any members of the public registered to make any oral submissions this evening?
There are no members of the public who have registered to make an oral submission.
Thank you. Committee members, do you have any questions? I see none. I have a motion then for A12/22 that the Committee of Adjustment, having given consideration to the applicable provisions of Section 45 of the Planning Act, the official plan of the Township of Springwater, the characteristics of the land in question and its surroundings as addressed in the planning report on the application dated February 23rd, 2022. Correspondence received and information presented at the hearing held on February 23rd, 2022, and the discussions on the matter hereby approve application A12/22 as applied for. May I have a mover and seconder, please? Moved by Rick Webster, seconded by Patty Kennedy. All in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you. There's a waiting period, sir, before you can move forward with that.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there any other business this evening? I don't see any correspondence. You have received the information from the Ontario Land Tribunal regarding the appeal for consent application B17/2021. Have a motion that this be received. Or any question? I have to put it on the floor first. I'll put it on the floor. That the Committee of Adjustment received correspondence as attached as item 6.1 to the agenda, being an acknowledgement letter from the Ontario Land Tribunal regarding the appeal for consent application B17/2021. We have a mover and a seconder. Moved by Webster, seconded by Cooney. Any discussion? You're asking for discussion, Mr. Webster? Go ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead.
May I proceed? Okay, can I get a general backgrounder on this file? I'm not familiar with what it is, why they're appealing or what they're appealing.
Okay, so this is the application from the Van Castrens and Capitan file. The township has appealed the decision that the committee made. Is that basically it, Planner Belcourt?
Thank you, Chair Gannon. Yes, in a nutshell, that is it. So the captains, Van Castren, submitted an application for agricultural severance. Staff recommended refusal. The committee approved the application. Council chose to appeal the application. So this is just notice from the Ontario Land Tribunal that that appeal has been received and will continue to update the committee throughout the process.
Thank you. Committee Member Vanderwielen.
For you, Chair Dennis Gannon, to Planner Belcourt. So what was the appeal based on? Like, what are they appealing? What part of it?
My understanding is that council appealed the decision of the committee because they felt that it did not adhere and conform to township planning policy. So the staff recommendation, I understand that they agreed with that recommendation and chose to appeal on that basis.
Thank you. Any other questions? Mr. Webster?
Yes, thank you, Chair Gannon. I should have perhaps mentioned this at the appropriate time regarding the minutes. I missed the last meeting, and apparently there was a discussion between the committee members and the Director Spagno related to the OLT appeal process and support of their decisions from council. So this kind of then now to me rolls into the, okay, so where are we? What did we hear at the last meeting that I didn't hear because the minutes didn't minute that? It just said there was a discussion. Will the committee have representation at the Ontario Land Tribunal defending our decision as a committee? And how does this all play out in this murky world that we seem to be in with committee representation at OLT? Any comments on that? Any questions?
Thank you. We had a general discussion just based on what was occurring. Director Spagno informed us that council had made the decision to appeal it, and he said we would receive the letter from the Ontario Land Tribunal, which we now have. There has been no discussion from this committee whether we require representation at the Ontario Land Tribunal representing our interests and our decision. So I'm going to refer back to Planner Belcourt to see what the need is for us to have our opinion offered at the Ontario Land Tribunal.
Thank you, Chair Gannon. I will have to defer those comments to the clerk's department and confirm how that process would work should the committee wish to have representation at OLT. I believe that would be a decision of the committee through a closed session meeting, but I would need that direction from clerks as I'm not 100% familiar with the process.
Thank you. So I would take it at this time we should accept the acknowledgement of the letter. I will make an inquiry tomorrow to the clerk's office on how we receive representation, or if we need to have a closed session to discuss that representation without the Director of Planning, because he would be an opponent basically to our decision. And perhaps we need to seek individual counsel on this. Go ahead, Mr. Webster.
Yes, thank you, Chair Gannon. I can't feature how he can be an opponent when
He's
the,
opposing what we said. He's opposing what the committee agreed to.
yes, but planning recommended what we approved.
No, the committee, the recommendation from the planning department was not to approve the application. The committee agreed to approve the application. So it was a planning department that went back to council in a closed session and received instructions, which was to appeal the decision of the committee.
Okay, thank you for correcting me. On the other hand, when there was a recommendation and we declined the recommendation, we did not get support from the staff at OLT. I would describe that as sucking and blowing too, but.
Yeah. Okay, so as I said, I think at this point we have to acknowledge the receipt of the letter. I will be in touch with the clerk's office tomorrow to find out the procedure that we require. And a notice will be sent through the Secretary Treasurer as to what our process is to receive, if we determine to receive acknowledgement or be represented at the land tribunal. Does that sound reasonable to everyone? Okay, so can I have a mover and a seconder then to receive this notice of acknowledgement? Moved by Vander Wieland, seconded by Cooney. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Any other new business to discuss this evening? Being said, then I have a motion.
Dennis, Dennis,
I'm sorry, Lauren.
sorry, I'm just referring to your email with regards to the circulation of the, I guess, the agenda for this meeting.
Mhm.
And you had requested that we begin to get this information at least 12 days in advance, or at least allowing us time to review the packages. Did you ever get a response back from the director in that regard?
Unfortunately, no, I did not receive any response back from the director. I will leave it to the Secretary Treasurer to perhaps explain if there is any change in the process.
Thank you. We try our very best to get you the agenda material and reports as soon as we possibly can. We are very short-staffed right now with the one planner, and it's a matter of those reports going through the approval process before I can circulate them and attach them to the agenda. So unfortunately, we were a little bit behind. That being said, we did only have the 2 applications this month, so it wasn't a very lengthy agenda package, thankfully, but in the future, we will try our best to get those to you as soon as possible. But from my perspective, it goes through an approval process, so it has to be reviewed by the director and then finance and then the CAO, and then it gets attached to the agenda.
Thank you. I'm going to refer to Planner Belcourt first.
Thank you, Chair Gannon. Just to build on what Danielle said, so the goal date is 10 days in advance of the meeting, and I apologize. I am trying as hard as I can to get those reports done and out as fast as possible. I will also note under the Planning Act, only a minimum of 10 days is required to circulate minor variances, and we have to hear those applications in that certain prescribed timeline. So having the agenda out 10 days in advance is not always possible. But like Danielle said, we're trying our very best, and we will continue to push for that 10 days in advance. Unfortunately, that hasn't been seen this or last month, but hopefully we will achieve it next month.
Thank you. Member Cooney.
Just a question on the approval. When the township receives the applications, you have a certain time period to turn them around and put them on the agenda, correct? So if the approval is dragged on by senior staff, not your staff, then that could compromise the township in regards to processing the applications. So is that necessary to get an approval, or is it just an information purpose to administration staff? I'm trying to understand your process, that's all.
So how it works is we have to circulate minor variances 10 days before the date of the hearing. Those circulations are to agencies, internal staff, as well as the buffer or surrounding neighbors. That has to be circulated. That's through the Planning Act. So we do get those out on time always. That's our number one priority. As far as posting those reports and attaching them to the agenda and sending the agenda packages to you, there is no legislative deadline for that part of the process. So the report itself doesn't have to be out so many days as far as the Planning Act goes. It's just we try to get it out with the agenda, and we try to give as much notice with that agenda so people can attend the meeting, so you guys have time to review the reports, but that's not legislative. So I used to work for the town of Bradford, West Gwillimbury, and we would send out the reports sometimes the day before the meeting to the committee. So yeah, that isn't regulated at all. So we just do our best to get that out to you as soon as we can.
Okay, thank you. I understand the process. I was trying to, the planning process and the obligations through the province. I was just trying to understand your process at the township where you have to get approval. And so I'm just, so I understand, it's your report that you're getting approval from the administration staff, the senior administration staff, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay, that's where the bog down is. Okay, thank you.
Planner Belcourt, did you wish to say something else?
Yeah, so I just want to say also, as Danielle mentioned, I am the only planner, so there is a bit of a bottleneck there as well, not just at the senior staff level. And to add, we do have 10 days to circulate, or a minimum of 10 days to provide notice, but we do have to hear minor variance applications within so many days of deeming it complete.
Thank you. Any other questions? Planner Belcourt, Member Belcourt, Member Kennedy, you know.
Me, whoever you are, yeah.
Beside each other here.
So my question to township staff then is, so, and correct me if I'm wrong here, notifications have to go out per the Planning Act 10 days in advance. What is the downside of sending those notifications to the committee members at the same time so that we have an idea of, we don't necessarily have your report in hand, but we have an idea of what the applications are? And again, correct me if I'm wrong, but it has to be a complete application before you guys can put it on, get it ready to go onto the agenda. So, and that means get it ready to circulate those 10 days prior to the meeting. So my comment and suggestion perhaps is, why could we not be part of that circulation?
Go ahead, Planner Belcourt.
That was something Danielle and I discussed last week, is including you guys on the notice email that we would send to senior staff. So I believe we did do that briefly last year or during COVID at one point or another, but I think with the changeover in staff, maybe that has gone wayside. So I think that is something Danielle and I had discussed about doing moving forward.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? All right, can I have a motion then for the Committee of Adjustment meeting held February 23rd, 2022. Now it does adjourn at 7:24 p.m. Moved by Webster, seconded by Kennedy. All in favor? Thank you. Motion is carried. So Danielle, how many do we have for next month?
Probably 4, maybe 5. I don't know. Ask me the day before now.